Hey everyone, today we're going to be taking a little bit of a different approach. I'm going to be showing you how to use up some of the leftovers you have in your fridge to make a delicious single serving meal. Here I've got some white rice and some zucchini. I think they'll work great. I've also got some leftover chopped white onion and some cilantro. Would have preferred to have kept the cilantro out because it doesn't tend to cook as well as other herbs, but I think it'll be fine. I'm also adding a clove of garlic, an egg, and some ground beef. Use whatever you have available though. Don't feel like you have to do this exact recipe. This is just me trying to consume all of the ingredients in my fridge before a 2-week time span. Now I'm going to weigh out some ground beef. Typically a good serving size is about 4 ounces or a quarter pound. Do what feels right to you. 4 ounces conveniently works out to be roughly a deck of card worth of ground beef or red meat, which is what I guess doctors recommend. Don't know how much merit there is to that, but here I'm just kind of compacting it to show that it is roughly a deck of cards worth of ground meat. If you're not as hungry, you can reduce the quantity to 3 ounces of meat, or again, whatever you're using that you have left over in your fridge, but this is what I've got. I'm also going to go ahead and just chop up this clove of garlic. You can see it's kind of towards the end of its life here as it's starting to brown a little bit, but thankfully it didn't sprout much. Just a quick mince, roughly to the size of the onion, which is what I'm going to be sauteing with. Go ahead and throw some neutral oil in the pan. Olive oil will tend to burn a little bit, and since this is kind of a stir fry, I don't want to do that. In place of white onion, I also could have used green onion, but I had white onion already chopped, so I'm going to use this up. Into a hot pan with oil goes the onion and cilantro, and all you're going to do is just give that a little bit of a quick mix and add a little bit of salt. Once it's a little bit fragrant and starting to caramelize and turn brown, you're going to add your garlic and just give that a quick mix. Now what I like to do here is add my ground beef by tearing at it and placing it into a pan like so. The reason I do this as opposed to just throwing the entire block in there and then breaking it up is I feel like it tends to cook a little bit better, and on top of that, once the cold ground beef hits the hot pan, the fat tends to render a little bit quicker with all the extra surface area, and then it prevents it from sticking, which is really nice. Go ahead and add a little bit more salt and continue to cook a little bit longer to allow some of those juices to render out of the ground beef and absorb into the onion and garlic. Here I'm adding a 1/4 teaspoon of sugar. Now, the reason for this is because it's supposed to mimic this Korean dish that I've had before, like a ground beef and rice mixture, and it'll add a little bit of a sweetness. It'll help also bind everything together a little bit better. Now at this point, I'm going to add in my vegetables and my rice and just give that a little quick stir to get everything combined. This is also optional. I'm going to add a little bit of mirin and then cook it off a little bit. The mirin's going to add a little bit of a sweetness. Here I'm using 1/2 teaspoon, but you can use whatever you want. You don't even have to include this at all. You could have also optionally added chili oil instead. In addition to the sweet mirin, I'm going to add a little bit of soy sauce. I'm also using about 1/2 teaspoon here. I'm not flavoring this like crazy because I already did add salt to it, so I just want a little bit of the umami factor to kick in. Now I'm going to fail to plate this. To show that this isn't perfect, this isn't some crazy well thought out dish, this was just me kind of recording on a Wednesday night to demonstrate what you should do with some of your leftovers. Yes, all over the table. Yeah, that's exact right. That's what we were going for. Perfect. Yep. Yeah, no, this is all those little bits is really worth it, especially considering I have more of it on the counter. Now throw your pan back onto the stove and add a pat of butter. This is a completely optional step, but it's nice to deglaze a little bit to get some of those brown bits from the beef, and then throw an egg in there. What the egg is going to do is give you a little bit more protein to your meal as well as a little bit more fat, and it's going to add a nice creaminess to the rice, which otherwise wouldn't be present from all the things that we've added so far. The ground beef does thicken a little bit, but here the egg is going to be a nice touch. So go ahead and just lay that over the top. Add your garnish of choice. I'm using sesame seeds and a little bit of sriracha. Again, use whatever you have available. This doesn't have to be exact matching. You can do what feels right for you. This is just what I wanted. And just cut into that. Look at that yolk as it oozes out into the rice. making everything super creamy, super tasty, You gotta give this a try. Again, with your ingredients. That's the beauty of this too. This recipe is supposed to be a convenience more than anything else. You want to be able to take advantage of your ingredients in your fridge and make something delicious. I typically aim to have my fridge emptied out every 2 weeks, thereby making sure that nothing in my fridge ever ends up going too bad or not getting consumed. Most of the time, milk that you buy in your fridge lasts about 2 weeks depending on if you're checking the date, which is a good standard of time for everything else as well. I know meats tend to want to be used a little bit earlier, but some of them tend to just last a little bit longer in the fridge, especially if they're being marinated. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to continue to enjoy this. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what I could be doing better. Let me know if you ended up trying it. Let me know if there's anything you'd want to see, and we'll see you in a later video. Thanks for sticking around to the end.